All right, that was Sherelle and Alexander O'Neill. So the events that passed this Saturday were a mother calls the police on her 9-year-old daughter who she claims is suicidal and threatening to do the mother harm. I don't know what happened. I was not there. I don't know what happened when a bunch of police officers got her in the car and sprayed her with pepper spray. A 9-year-old child. I don't know what happened. But I do know this. The person who bears the least responsibility is the child. A 9-year-old. A 9-year-old. Now, I can't tell you what she was saying. I can't tell you what was going on. I can't tell you what was in any of the adults in that situation's mind. I can tell you this. I have had a 9-year-old. I've watched them have fit. I've watched them say things. 9-year-olds or children, period, say some really disruptive things. But the adults in the room have a charge to be responsible for that child. The adults in the room, the parent and law enforcement, need to do something that we talk about all the time. Be accountable and show restraint. Now, I know that the police officers can show restraint because I saw an example of it at the Capitol on the 6th of January. I saw an example of them showing such restraint that they let looters run through the Capitol, breaking buildings, and even beating a few of them, one to death and one where they lost an eye. They showed the kind of restraint that ended up in 185 police officers going to the hospital. So they were able to show restraint then. I've seen them show restraint when they've dealt with mass murderers. I've seen them show restraint when they've dealt with their own. I know that they know what restraint is. And the thing, and I would imagine that is a tough situation for a parent to be in, where you decide that you're going to have to call the police. But what I've never seen in my years of life is the police make it better in our communities when you call them. Specifically when somebody's dealing with an emotional or a mental crisis. I've never seen them make it better. Never. Maybe that's not their training, or maybe that's not their mindset when they come to our communities. When they come to our communities, the mentality isn't, how can I help? It seems to be, how can I exert control? How can I get this situation out of control? How can I be in charge? Now, I don't know what precipitated this. I don't know what happened. I do know this. The adults in the room bear responsibility for what happened to that child. If she was suicidal before the event, I know she's going to have some emotional scars after the event. If you called the police to try to teach her a lesson, the lesson is, I can't trust you or them. So, and particularly in a place like Rochester, where just the last year they had another family who called the police on a relative who was emotionally disturbed, and they put a spit hood on him and smothered him to death in front of us. I don't know what precipitated these things. I can't tell you. I wasn't there, but I do know this. Everybody in the room, all the adults, had a responsibility to make sure that that child got the help she needed, that that child was in a better situation than when they were called and when they came. If that wasn't the result of what happened, all parties involved got things to look at. That child, if she was suicidal before, if she were emotionally disturbed before, if she were upset before, imagine how that's exacerbated now. We on this very show, we've had police officers who were called by kindergarten teachers or 5th grade teachers, and we've said, wow, if you can't handle a 5th grader, if you can't handle a kid this age, and you need to call the police, maybe you should look to do something else. All around, I cannot tell you what happened. I cannot tell you what precipitated it. I was not there, but I saw this. I know that a child that was in distress is in more distress now. I know a child that was crying out for help has pepper spray in her eyes. She was rammed into the back of a police car. I know that whatever was bothering her before, it wasn't better, it was exacerbated. That's a little note from the GED section. We got the Jazz Report coming up in 15 minutes. It's the D.L. Hughley Show.